Hello students, welcome back to the session of Social and Political Life 1. Today we are on chapter number 1, Understanding Diversity. Now what is diversity? It means uniqueness. And India is such a country where we have diverse culture, very unique. We speak different kind of language, we practice different religion. Then we also have different kinds of foods. We have different festivals. So India is a land of diverse. Now let's start with the chapter. Before starting the chapter, we can see there are some pictures. So let's have a look on this. Look around you in the classroom. Do you see anyone who looks exactly like you do? So, in the classroom, if you look around, you will see that, do you see that all of you look same, all of you have the same facial structure? Do you look same? It is no, we don't look same, we are different from each other. In this chapter, you will learn that people are different from each other in many ways. Not only do they look different, but they might also belong to a different religion, cultural or religious backgrounds. These differences enrich our lives in many ways and also make them more fun. So we are different in many ways. We are different, we have different culture, we have different religion. We belong from a different caste. All these different people who come from all kinds of backgrounds and belong to all kinds of religions and cultures help to make India so interesting and so diverse. So in India, we find different kinds of people who follows different religion, who speak different language. And this makes India a diverse land. What does diversity add to our lives? How did India become like this? Are all kinds of difference a part of diversity? Can diversity also be a part of unity? All these things we are going to read in this chapter. 3 children around your age have drawn the figures above. So these pictures are drawn by 3 children. Use the empty box to draw human figures. So this is an empty box and you draw from your imagination a figure. Is your drawing similar to any of the others? After drawing your own figure from your own imagination, you compare your drawing with this and find out, does it look same? The chances are that your drawing is quite different from other 3, which you can see are quite different from each other. So after drawing, if you find that your drawing is not similar with this, that means you have a unique thinking, your thinking is different. Same likewise, each and every people's way of thinking, imaginations are different. This is because each one of us has a unique drawing style. And from where this unique drawing style comes from our own imagination. We not only look exactly like each other, but also differ in terms of the language we speak, our cultural backgrounds, the religious rituals we observe, and of course the way we draw. So we not only look exactly like each other, but in terms of language we speak, the culture we follow, the tradition we follow, the religion we practice, the rituals we practice are totally different from each other. And same like this, our drawing will also be different from each other. Now inside this box, you need to fill out the following information about yourself. When I go out, I like wearing. So when you go out, what do you like wearing? At home, I speak in which language you speak with your parents. My favorite sport is. So your favorite sport. I like reading books. About which books you like reading. So all this you have to fill up. Now ask your teacher to help you check how many of you have similar answers. Is there anyone whose list matches yours exactly? Probably not, but many of you may have similar answers. How many like reading the same kind of books? How many different languages are spoken by the students in your class? By now, you must have recognized the many ways in which you are quite like some of your classmates, and other ways in which you are different from them. So, after writing this, you may compare with your friends and see whether your way of dressing, your way of dressing is similar, your food is similar, your language is similar, same, or the sport which you play is similar. Many of the times we might find that our likes and dislikes are same, but it is not necessary that everything will be same. Something or the other will be different, which makes us unique from each other. Now, making friends. How do we make friends? There is a story, very interesting story here. So from this story we will see that how these two persons became friends. Do you think it would be easy for you to make friends with someone who was very different from you? Do you think it will be easy for you to make friends to that person whose language is different, whose way of living is different? Do you think so? So after reading this story, we will come to the conclusion. Read the following story and think about this. I had meant it as a joke made up for a small ragged boy who sold newspapers at the Janpat crossing at the busy intersection. Every time I cycled past, he would run after me, holding out the English paper and screaming out the evening's headlines in a mixture of Hindi and English words. This time I stopped by the pavements and asked for the Hindi paper. His mouth fell open. So this boy, every time he comes by cycling on the road, and then whenever he comes, he used to see this boy selling the newspaper and shouting in a mixed language, reading out the headlines in a mixed language of Hindi and English. Then this time he stopped and then he called out for the newspaper. He asked for the newspaper. Then what happened when this boy asked for the newspaper? Why? The newspaper's boy's mouth was open. You mean you know Hindi? He asked. So this boy asked, so you know Hindi? Of course, I said, as I paid for the paper. So he said, of course, I know Hindi. Why? What did you think? Again he asked, why? What did you think? He paused, but you look so Angrez. He said, you mean you can even read Hindi? So this boy, he said that you look like Angrez. Angrez means looks of foreigner. You look like a foreigner. So he was still confused and he asked, okay, are you sure you know Hindi? Of course I can, I said, this time a little impatiently. I can speak, read and write Hindi. Hindi is one of the subjects I study in school. So next time he said, of course I know. I can read, I can speak, I can write Hindi, and Hindi is one of my subjects in my school. Subjects? He asked. Who? This boy. The boy who was selling the newspaper. He was like very surprised. What do you mean by subjects? How could I explain what a subject was to someone who had never been to school? So this boy was confused. He was thinking that how can I explain to him what is a subject, because he had never gone to a school. So how shall I explain? I began, but the lights, well, it is something. I began, but the lights changed and the honking behind me grew 100-fold, and I let myself be pushed along with the rest of the traffic. So when he started to explain what is subject, by the time the people started honking from behind because the traffic signal was over. So he took his cycle and then he went. The next day he was there again, smiling at me and holding out a Hindi paper. Bhaiya, he said, आपका अखबार, आप बताइए ये सब्जेक्ट क्या चीज़ है? So next day, again they both met, and then this newspaper boy, what he said, भैया आपका न्यूज़, आपका अखबार, ये रहा आपका अखबार. So he had handed over the newspaper to the boy. Then he was asking about the previous conversation. What is the subject? He wants the boy to explain what is the subject actually. The English word sounded strange on his tongue. It sounded like its other meaning in English, to be ruled by someone else. And we know very nicely that people who doesn't know how to read, how to write English, their English is very, they pronounced it very not properly. Their pronunciation is quite different. So same likewise, this boy also was. He sounded very differently, the English word. Oh, it's just something to study, I said. And then, because the red light had come on, I asked him, have you ever been to school? Never, he answered. And he added proudly, I began working when I was so high. He measured himself against my cycle seat. First my mother used to come with me, but I can't do it all alone. So when this boy asked him, have you ever been to a school? He said, no, never. And then proudly he answered that I began working when I was so high. So high means when he was grown up. Then first he used to come with his mother, but later on he started selling the newspaper all by himself. Where is your mother now? I asked, but then the lights changed and I was off. I heard him yell from somewhere behind me. She is in Meerut with. So since the signal was on, the signal was off. So so he was shouting, the newspaper boy was shouting and telling him that my mother is in Meerut. The rest was drowned out. So the rest, whatever he was saying was not, this boy cannot hear. It was not reachable. Next day, my name is Samir, he said the next day. And very shyly he asked, what's yours? It was incredible. My bicycle wobbled. My name is Samir too, I said. So the next day he asked the boy, what is your name? My name is Samir. This boy, he introduced himself as Samir. And then after hearing his name, he was very surprised because his name was also Samir. What? His eyes lit up. Yes, I grinned at him. It's another name for Hanuman's father, you know. So now you are Samir 1 and I am Samir 2, he said. So he said, you are Samir 1 and I am Samir 2. Something like that, I answered, and then I held out my hand, Hath milao. So they were shaking their hands. Samir 2, his hand nestled in mine like a little bird. I could still feel its warmth as I cycled away. The next day he did not have his usual smile for me. There is trouble in Meerut, he said. Many people are being killed there in their riots. I looked at the headlines. Communal riots. It blazed. But Samir, I began. I am Muslim, Samir, he said in answer. And all my people are in Meerut. His eyes filled with tears, and when I touched his shoulder, he would not look up. So the Samir one, he said, I am Muslim. He was not at the crossing the day after, neither the day after nor ever again. And no newspaper in English or Hindi can tell me where my Samir Do has gone. So after this, when he introduced that when he told him that he belonged from the Muslim community, Samir Do was very upset, and from the next day onwards, he never turned up. He stopped selling the newspaper. Now inside the box you see, name 3 ways in which Samir Ek and Samir Do were different. So find out the answers by yourself. Did these differences prevent them from becoming friends? Think and answer. While Samir Ek is more familiar with English, Samir Do speaks Hindi. Although they both are more at home in different languages, they still communicated with each other. They made the effort to do so because this was what was important to them. Though these two were different, they had different languages, but still they communicated with each other. And they came to know about each other more nicely. Samir Ek and Samir Do also come from different religion and cultural backgrounds. They belong from different cultural backgrounds and religion also. While Samir Ek is a Hindu, Samir Do is a Muslim. Different religions and cultural backgrounds such as this are an aspect of diversity. Now make a list of the festival that might have been celebrated by the two boys. Samir Ek. Samir Ek was Hindu and Samir Do was Muslim. So which are the festivals they celebrate? You have to write the name. Can you think of a situation in which you made friends with someone who was very different from you? Write a story that describes this. In addition to their diverse religious and cultural backgrounds, there are other ways in which Samir Ek and Samir Do are different from each other. For example, while Samir Ek goes to school, Samir Do sells newspaper. Next, Samir Do did not have the opportunity to attend school. Perhaps you have noticed that there are several people in the area where you live who are poor and who don't have enough to eat or wear, and sometimes not even to a place to live. This difference is not the same as the one we have seen earlier. Here we are talking not of difference but of inequality. Inequality comes about when a person does not have the resources and opportunities that are available to other persons. So this is not only the difference of religion, difference of cultural backgrounds. There are also difference in inequality. Inequality means where people are not given the opportunities, the facilities, the people who are treated very unequally. This also plays a very important part in the diverse country. People are not treated well, especially the people who belong from the lower caste. The caste system is another example of inequality. You see, Samir Do is belong from a poor family, so their family doesn't have enough money for him to send him to the school. So we can see that. And same likewise, Samir Ek is belong from a wealthy family, so he goes to the school. So here also we can see the discrimination of caste. Since he belonged to the lower caste, so he was not allowed to go to the school. according to this, society was divided into different groups depending upon the work the people did, and they were supposed to remain in those groups. So the society was divided into different groups. It is depending upon the work the people did and they were supposed to do. There are work which people used to do and they were forced to do. So if your parents were potters, you could only become a potter, nothing else. This system was considered irreversible, and because you were not supposed to change your profession, it was not considered necessary for you to know anything more than what you needed in your profession. This created a situation of inequality. You will read more about this and other inequalities in the following chapters. So you will come to know more about inequalities in the other chapters. What does diversity add to our lives? So what are the things, what are the additions which has made due to the work or due to diversity? We know that India is a land of diverse culture. We have diverse culture, diverse religion, unique. India is a unique country. Just like Samir Ek and Samir Do became friends, you might have friends who are different from you. You have probably eaten different kinds of food in their homes, celebrated different festivals with them, tried out the clothes they wear, and learned some of their languages as well. So, when we make friends, we don't see whether our friends belong from Muslim community, from the Hindu community, what kind of foods they have. What we do, we try to learn from them. Their language, their food, we try to learn their language. We try to make their dishes. Then we also try to wear their dresses, traditional attire. And then we also try to follow their rituals. In return, what happens? We apart from our own culture and rituals, we get to learn the cultures and rituals of other communities too. So hence, it becomes very easy for us to communicate with people, because we have different people who speaks different language. So communication plays a very important role. You probably like reading and hearing stories and adventures about different animals, people, and even ghosts. Perhaps you even enjoy making up stories yourself. Many young people feel happy when they read a good story because it gives them lots of ideas to make up more stories. People who write stories get their ideas from all sorts of different places, from books and real life, and from their imagination. Some may have lived in forests close to animals and chosen to write of their fights and friendships. Others read real accounts of kings and queens and wrote stories about love and honor. Some dipped into their own childhood memories of school and friends and wrote stories of adventure. So there are different authors who writes different stories. Some writes stories of love. Some writes stories of kings or queens. Some writes stories of a place. Then there are also authors who write about adventures, about friendship. Imagine if all the storytellers and writers that you have heard and read so far were forced to live in a place where all people wore the same two colors, red and white, ate the same food, maybe potatoes, took care of the same two animals, for example, the deer and the cat, and to entertain themselves played snakes and leathers. What kind of stories do you think they would write? So if the storytellers and writers are forced to live together in one place and gave same kinds of food to eat and the same kind of games to play, also same kind of animals to look after. So what do you think, what story they will write from there? Do you think that they will write the same story? So think and then imagine.